Hello, everyone. Corey here coming in to do the weekly energy update. This one is for the week of June the 10th. So we are moving through a new little, we want to say it's like a trad. I feel like there's a triangle here. It's like we got a love triangle going on, love hate triangle. There is some conflicting kind of opposition energy here that brings in storm, but it also brings in like a lot of love. So I'm really feeling the love as they get to right when I'm doing this. So this week we'll have some interruptions. We'll have something that will try to dampen, try to dampen your energy or try to take us off course. But really, truly staying in the frequency of love is so important. Now, when I speak frequency and emotions in my work, is that emotions are all emanates in these different frequencies. So fear, anger, guilt, resentment are all lower vibrating frequency. They also all exist in our lower energy centers. And it's in the sacral, right? It's all of the world we respond to from here down, and from here down, and even within our consciousness is the energy that has the lower frequency, the lower energy. The choices and decisions that we make that guide us to take right directions, to do the right things in our lives, comes from the higher frequencies. Comes from the place of being able to move and shift. And if you've ever looked at your life of when you have stayed in situations or in relationships with people, in jobs where you feel you guilt, you feel you know it's not for you anymore, but yet you guilt yourself or shame yourself out of being able to make those changes, or just absolute fear of the unknown, or fear of what happens if you say yes to you, and then you exist in that place, and you feel yourself being unhappy, sluggish, you feel yourself being dragged down, nothing is working out, it depletes your energy, it depletes your finances, it depletes all the abundance in your life. It makes you feel like you're void of light. It has you second guessing, looking over your shoulder, living in fear, blah blah blah. That's all part of that lower vibrational energy. Now, sometimes we need to feel that energy. There's no doubt. We need to be able to know that that is a part of us, that is showing us that something is not working for us, that something is it's we're in a place where we shouldn't be, or we're not with our truest version of ourselves. So that energy always does come in, and that energy is speaking to us. It is always trying to be that interference. Now, I feel this love energy right now. I feel this good energies. I'm channeling. There's the higher vibrational frequency that's happening. So that outside noise, I can hear that little voice that's trying to get me to step into annoyance, to stop recording my video, do it another time. But this is the only time this energy will be here. I will not get this moment. I will not get this message again. So if I don't make the video, if I don't stay with it, then it's not going to happen. You may not hear it as much as I'm hearing in the background noise. So there's this activation of the lower energy that's trying to get me to come down, trying to pull me down into that sense of being frustrated. But up here, this higher energy is speaking in love and light and positive, like the sense of positivity that's coming in, that just says, keep going, keep going, just keep going, just keep doing. And that we have in our lives all the time. The choices and decisions that take us back into the flow of life are the ones that come from the place of being able to be willing to release and to make a change, be willing to move forward, to then, because the journey beyond that bridge, across the heart, the journey beyond this bridge is for us to get to happiness and joy. And if we exist only down here, is that we get to feel or see through somebody else's experience, through being happy only for somebody else. But yet When do we get to feel and exist in that happiness within ourselves? So this week's energy does give us the opportunity to be able to know that this is here, but this lower energy is going to be preying on your emotions. And it's really truly preying on the emotions. It's preying on, it's kind of tapping on, kind of being an annoyance to you, to your memories, to your past experiences, to all of that place. But our sense of being able to move forward into a new state of being requires us to be able to move forward, to move on. And throughout our lives, we've always been told there's one direction. You're only going forward. There's nothing but forward. But there's up, there's beyond, right? There's up and beyond. There's perspectives. There's a way that we can take journeys that we can take. We may have to take the overbridge. We may have to take another arc. So we may have to bypass some of the things that we once thought we would have to get to our future. And it's not that we always have to keep walking through and trudging through the shit. Is that we can see the storm is coming and we can get up and over it. It is no different than a plane being in the air, and if they know turbulence is coming or they know there's a storm, and so they redirect. They don't just keep going into the storm. So whatever stormy energy is coming towards you this week, it doesn't mean that you have to walk into the storm. It doesn't mean you have to battle the storm. It means that you have to keep finding a way to get to happiness and joy. Get to the high ground, right? Get to the higher vibrational energy. Get to the place of where the frequency, the hum, brings us closer to joy and to happiness. And that's our destiny. That's our life journey. And every time we hold on to, or we keep repeating patterns, behaviors, staying in the isms, the addiction, addictive behaviors, the patterns, those repeat things that keep us operating from the lower frequencies, is that's the things that bring us into feeling not well, feeling not good about ourselves, feeling unhealthy in our thoughts, unhealthy in our actions. It's what has you holding on to the old energy, the old stories, those things that really don't really has never, has never really served the highest good. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm getting like hiccups coming up. And so there's a sense of being here, right? And that moving up and through here. Now, each and every energy center that you have, it's like it has its own layers, because it is like its own little spiral. It has its own little steps. So once we hit here and we hit, say, let's just say we hit the throat. So let's just say we hit the throat chakra. Once we hit this energy right here and we get here, is that you may feel something coming up. So it's getting from here to rising up. And so what we're doing is, in our levels of consciousness and conscious awareness, is that we are moving up and beyond. And so we're not dropping back down into the old energy. We're getting right here. And we find ourselves like, I really know that I really need to say this. I don't know how I'm going to say this, but if I say it, if I speak my truth from the lower energy, and I'm connecting down here into my old rooted stories, then I'm not going to be in the lower part of my root, in the roots of the stories, instead of the fact of knowing I'm grounded and I'm protected and that I have support. And so being able to feel the self feeling supported is able to take a leap and a jump up in frequency, to be able to know that, okay, I have to surrender over this fear. I have to know that, yes, I may have been judged for this in the past, but who cares in this moment? I need to say this because it is right here. The spark of inspiration is right here, and it wants to really speak from. I know it's coming out. I know what I need to say. I know what I need to listen to. I know my yeses, right? I know what I need to say to myself. And it rises because it is connecting to the light, and it is connecting to our truth, and it's connecting to the truest version of ourselves. And so we have this meter of gauging these frequencies of that exist in ourselves. And sometimes we are needing to drop down. We need to go into a lower energy, but not to stay there, because in order for change to happen is we have to be charged up, right? And so the sense of charge is to get to take the way around, the path around, to get to joy and happiness. And often, if you've read my books, if you've heard me speak about this, and I'm not the only person who says this, but the way that, because channeling information doesn't just be given to me, as it, that would be an ego story. But that we have to sometimes, we have to walk through the hell to get to heaven, right? Which means that once we get into this hell, is that hell may look a lot like heaven. Once we get to this place, and so what hell sometimes feels like is, it feels like that sense of like a turbulence that is happening, a rumbling that's happening. And that is the energy that wants to try to push you back down, but we want to get to the other side. But do we have to walk through the trenches of hell? No, we can go take the bridge over our own personal hell stories, instead of being so hard on ourselves, instead of having to face every single person or every single thing that's an obstacle or a challenge or a disagreeable person, is that you recognize that they are there. You recognize the fear, the frustration, and we're going to take the path over. We're going to take the arc over it, instead of walking the streets of our personal hell story. Instead of walking through, we can walk over this way. And that's not being a weak person. That's courageous. Courageous enough to sometimes say to ourselves, my road to happiness does not mean that I need to punish myself first. It does not mean that I have to take more. I do not have to take the beating of the winds of the storm. I do not have to stay walking into it. I do not have to keep doing the things that I keep doing. That's deteriorating me. That's pushing me back and pushing me forward, pushing me away from the things that I know is in my wheelhouse of joy and happiness. Is that as you're going over, is joy and happiness start to ignite, and that starts to spark this sense of, oh my God, I'm so close. Everything feels so close. I'm on my way. I'm on my way to a new choice, a new decision. I'm on my way to a new opportunity. I'm on my way over here. And as I'm on my way, it becomes, what we thought was so far away becomes much closer than you could have ever imagined. And it actually enters in, and it becomes your now. The joy, the happiness, the frequency of it begins to be the thing that begins to move you in this moment. And that moment then inspires us to fly, to just get excited. And so we start to speed up. Things start to speed up. So we feel that speeding up energy. You feel that deeper connection. You feel that deeper. You feel it in such an amazing, from such an amazing place. I think it's over. From such an amazing place that you just know that there is something waiting, and there is so many things that are in that is there for us, that is kind of tired of waiting, but will always wait for us, because it is the aspect of the only thing, you know, that you could, that opens your door to your future, is the truest version of you. The best things for us in life are the things that open when we are actually being our most authentic self. So there's a magnetism of that is just pulling us and directing us over into this place. And I write about that in my Truth of Existence Beyond Reflection. I believe that book is in. And then you can feel that sense of, it's a radical self-acceptance that of this self. But knowing that part of ourselves, once we move into that self, once we get into that energy, once we feel that inspiration, then all the things that are for us begin to enter into our awareness. So there is a spark of hope. There is a beautiful energy. There is a storm that is happening. So this is where I want to, it would say, it would be like I was just going to say the Three of Hearts. It would be just like in the major arcana when you have the heart. So I'm going to give the description. When you have the heart and you have the three swords in it. So this energy does come up that there is there's something that needs your attention. It is where, we feel the sense of the possibility of, it's like that third person, right? So it's the three of swords is what it really is. Not in the major, it's in the minor. I feel very dumb at times when this comes in. I know it's not a truth, but I feel that. And I've learned to laugh at that. I have really learned to laugh at that. I don't judge that of myself anymore because it's just so many things happening in the moment. So in the Three of Swords, I'm like, whoa. In the Three of Swords, that's what it feels like. That feels like the card that we have. And so there is there's the one thought that intercepts. This is sometimes the card that says there's something that needs our attention, that, that there is a third wheel, that there's a third wheel. Remember, when you got two kids playing and then the third one comes in and all the energy changes and it changes everything? Well, that's kind of what it feels like. And so there is this third wheel energy coming in. There is this third sword. So there's another voice. There is another, there may be another opinion coming in. It may be somebody coming in is trying to interrupt you. There's always something that's activating, and it feels like it's something that's trying to activate your lower your lower energy centers, or trying to activate this lower frequency within you, your fears, your doubts, trying to cause doubt, trying to stir up trouble. So there's something that's trying to stir up trouble that is coming up, that is around us, that is speaking to us, and it's saying, don't allow this to be disruption, to be your truth. Now, sometimes we need to see this, and sometimes this is not about us turning a blind eye. It's about us willing to be able to see this, to think about all the times that we have been betrayed, all the times that we have been left without, and ask ourselves, is this current situation actually what is happening, or is this my greatest fear? And if we live in the thought of our greatest fear ever coming true again, and we're always afraid of it and we carry it with us, then chances are it will find its way back in until finally we release the karma of it. So if our greatest fear is that something is going to go wrong in our lives, and we keep saying it, or that you're not lucky, then, or that you have no luck, then you will never be able to have no luck. It's that lower frequency. But if your greatest thought is the fact that you are here for beautiful things, and beautiful things are happening, and that I've had this happen to me in the past, so this feeling is coming to me for me to pay attention, because I can't let anything take away my journey to my happiness and my joy. And if removing people or situations or changing directions or leaving positions that are not serving that, then I know that I have to make some changes in my life. And I have to communicate for myself to be that voice, to speak that truth, so that I can keep climbing and returning to that, to getting to that higher frequency, to that place within me of where all that is of my sense of being my truest of beautiful self now starts to enter in. And so the space of reasoning meets us above the bridge of doubt and fear and says, really? Is it you betraying yourself? You turning a blind eye? You pretending something is not happening? Is it really taking you towards joy and happiness? Or are you in truth always still existing in the fear story? Are you living in the hell that you've decorated to make it appear as your heaven? And it's not really your heaven, but you've settled and made yourself content in it. And what if heaven is waiting? What if your heaven on earth is waiting? What if all that exists is over here, but you will hold on to the sparks of the moments of being given breadcrumbs in order, or a pat on the head in order to be able to get there, because your greatest fears are the things that are motivating you. And you're being motivated by your fears instead of by your faith, and not trusting, or you're allowing guilt, shaming yourself, doubt to stand in the way of being able to bypass that, to get to the place. And it all is about our choices. And it's all in the choice that we choose to make, and the decisions we choose to do. We choose to have follow through on whether or not we continue to exist in one energy, or we exist to have that breakup. Because if our love affair is with our own darkness and the shadows, then we'll always be dancing with the shadows and feeding the hungry ghost. Is when you pull that out, when you pull out the weeds, you bring green grass grows. When you pull out the weeds, when you yank out that thought, and you get to return to that healthiest of love and relationship, is that the heart ignites, and the heart activates on such a level that the instinctual self can truly listen to the heart brain that is doing the right things for the right reasons, to be able to feel inspired to get to the crowning glory moments of our lives. And in my book, The Way, which is not out yet, which is written, is I always speak about fixing your crown and placing your crown in place. And it's time to fix our crowns. It's time to be able to know that where our sense of ahas and magical moments exist in our place of a feeling the sense of enlightenment. Joy is our closest connection to source, creator, God. It is our connection to God. It's our connection to all things that brings us to living our best life, living our most magical life. All that happens down here is all about guiding us and telling us when something is getting too close, something is affecting us, something is influencing us, something is happening in our lives that we need to pay attention to. And we can use all of that past as a reference, that if I have felt this before, I've been here before, but the situation and stories are never the same, because this is the moment I'm in today. And in this moment I am in today, what choice will I make in this moment I am in today? Do I choose to exist in this lower energy, to keep creating the narratives and stories, trying to convince myself that I can keep putting up this personal little health story? Or am I ready to have to be able to strip it all away, not to have to try to fluff it up, not try to pretend, not to walk around blinders on, not to have to wear a mask to enter into a masquerade party, but to be able to be authentic and be this authentic self that I've now unraveled, that I've opened up in this level. We got many levels, we got many truths, and we have many perspectives. So it is really the time of when we start moving beyond being trapped in telling ourselves or holding on to only having the ability to grasp onto one truth, and to open up to the possibility of more truths. Because if this is one truth, then if I do this or I do that, then there's another truth. So yeah, this is true, but that's also true. And then there's another truth over here. And the greatest truth is the truth that is beyond the veil. And the truth that is beyond the veil only is revealed to us when we drop and we let go of all veils of illusions that stand in the way from us being able to truly see. And on a world scale, that's really fun, because we're going to see it on such a big scale, on a world scale, on a big scale. And we're going to see how big and deep the sense of corruption, how they, the affairs of the world are ran and run, and how there has been the mistress of the Jezebel energy that has been so intertwined into all that happens within this world. And so false light appearing as light, imitation light appearing as light. And so there is no jazzing and fluffing it up. This is as good as it freaking gets right here. And it's like, yeah, I can pretty it up, but there's a truth, right? And so removing this is what's coming up. And so there is a deep, deep relationship that is ready to be cultivated and ready to be taken, and is one with spirit. It is one with the divine. It is one with, and that's why a lot of people break free and they lose their self, and they lose their relationship with spirituality, or with with divination and those things, is because there is this sense of a new level of consciousness or awareness that's coming in for them. Their psyche is developing, it is opening up. And so they're being called into something else, but it's for discernment. It's not always for us to run away from what truly fills our soul, but it's for us to not to be tied to one thought, one way, one thing, and to be really open. And to live from that open place is really moves us beyond allowing ourselves to be only listening, seeing one thought, one thing, and being able to expand our consciousness, being able to open ourselves up into into the possibility of there is more. But it's just like being in an affair. Is if you're if it's somebody in an affair and you're like, oh, but I love this person, I love this person, I love this person, and you hold on to the someday, but you're void of being able to see the hurt, the pain, the brokenness on the other side, the deception, the deceiving, all of those things that is also happening, and all you can see is love, then you're not really seeing love. You're seeing the desire to get what we want. And when we can be brutally honest with ourselves, it doesn't mean everyone walks away, but it just means when we can be brutally honest with ourselves and tell ourselves the deepest truth. I'm here because there is a desire in me that I want this person, I want this thing, I want this to happen. And why do I want this to happen? Because I believe this is going to take me closer to my happiness. But what if faith were to step in and you were to let go? So this is just giving a scenario, and somebody was to let go and just say, you know what? When you become available, when you fix your shit, when you figure it out, when you do all of those things, I will be over here existing in my joy. And when you are in your joy, and maybe then we meet again, and we can possibly realign if it is in the stars. Because what is written in the stars is our destiny. And what is the only thing that interrupts us getting to that point is us and our ego. And so nothing else in the world is holding us from living our best lives, but the us that stands in the way, because it's the us that we have created. And it's the us that chases, that desires, that wants, and it moves beyond. And we get so captivated by the story of love and loving things and from love. But love and authenticity are not really the same. If you strip love down to its authenticity, is that love is not always quite as pretty as it appears. But it is powerful and it is strong. Remember that. I love the sun. I can't get up and hug the sun because I know I can't get that close to hug the sun because it will burn me to death. But yet I love the sun. So there's a perspective for you, right? It's that it is something that may not always be the most beautiful, the most pretty, but it is the peace and the part of us that moves us. And when we are moved by this inspiration, this sense of being called, that which moves us is the things that guides and takes us to the most beautiful places in our lives. So lots of veils to be loosened have to fall very quickly. It's been trying to fall, trying to crumble, but it's really falling now, falling hard. And we're moving into a whole new energy and a new time. I send you so much love. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.